Looking for something to read? Well, these are the books that I've written. Hop on down to the description to find the Amazon links for all 4 of them, and keep your eyes open for more in the future. With that said, on to the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and here I am with episode 3 of Skull Island. I actually think this one was a little bit better. It's the best of the show that I've seen so far. And yet, I'm still not entirely sure about it. I wish I could be more certain. I wish I could say this is the episode where I finally am won over, but there are still a couple problems. The primary reason I think this episode is better is because it gives us a bit of a chance to see the characters be a little more dramatic, up to a certain point. Like, Charlie and Mike have this one moment where, I mean, they come very close to having a genuine heart-to-heart, because they finally, after a whole episode of not really talking about it that much, if at all, they finally kind of address the fact that they don't know where Charlie's father is, but Mike's father was killed in episode 1. And they are so close, so very close to having it be a genuinely heartfelt, dramatic moment until they do the modern MCU bit and undercut it with a lame joke. I don't know, maybe I'm becoming hypersensitive to it after Marvel took that concept and ran it into the ground, but like, it could have actually worked. It could have had me actually get to a point where I was feeling something other than mild irritation towards these two, and they just couldn't quite get there for some reason. And, well, that's about as close as we actually get to them actually being tolerable. As for Amy, it feels like her personality is all over the map, to be honest. Like, half of the time, she's the most savvy one in the group, and knows what she's doing almost too well, and is kind of abrasive. The other time, she's kind of kind-hearted and opening up a little bit, but despite speaking fluent English, doesn't know what certain words mean, and seems ignorant about different things. I can't really pin her down just yet. And of course, we see her finally with her dog, whose name is Dog. Again, that's one of those very simplistic things that sort of don't quite line up with how intelligent she comes across the other half of the time. Like I said, she's kind of hard to pin down. But her interactions with Dog so far have been, well, not a whole lot. I mean, I'm a dog owner. I usually can see certain things I relate to when I see human-animal relationships in fiction, especially if it's a human and a dog. This episode didn't really give me anything in that regard. Again, it's only the first time we're seeing them, but it's like, I don't know, I'm still having a hard time figuring that part out. This is also the first episode where we finally get to see Kong. We don't really get a clear shot of him, but we know it's him because there's nothing else like him on the island, pretty much in any incarnation. And it's not a bad introduction, to be sure. Basically, the episode's cold open is all about a chase, where Charlie and Mike are trying to escape a crocodile-type creature. Or is it a crocodile? Based on the way its limbs are and the way it moves, it might actually be a dinosaur. But they call it a crocodile because, well, the characters don't call it a crocodile, but the title of the episode is What's Up, Croc? Ha ha ha. And whatever, I'll just call it a crocodile from that point on. And the chase, I will say, follows a nice escalation where first they're on the run from whatever they thought ate Annie, because they don't know that Dog is on their side yet. Then they run into a soldier. The soldier gets eaten by the croc. The croc comes after them. At first it seems like a normal crocodile until it stands up on its hind legs, and then it chases them into the water, and then there's a waterfall, and they think that going over the waterfall and surprisingly not getting any injuries at all, because no one ever gets injuries in fictions when they go over the waterfall. That means that they're safe until the crocodile does a swan dive off of the waterfall. I swear that's what it does. And it keeps coming after them until Kong comes in and grabs it. That's not a bad way to escalate the situation gradually until it reaches the apex where Kong shows up. So I have no qualms with that part of it, but Kong just feels kind of like he shows up and then he leaves, and I don't know. I have a feeling that's the last we're going to see of him for a little bit, unless we get some scenes of him just soloing it somewhere out there on the island. Speaking of the island, though, am I the only one who doesn't think this feels like the Skull Island we saw in the movies, like, at all, really? I mean, yes, the last episode did bring in the flora fauna, but at the same time, like, the overall aesthetic of the island is totally different. Plus, it didn't occur to me in the first two episodes, but it dawned on me this time, where's the storm? You know, the perpetual storm that's supposed to surround this incarnation of Skull Island? That's one of the reasons why people don't really go there, because they're not going to sail directly into a storm. It's always there. That's what conceals it. That's what keeps it cut off from the world. Where is that? We know it's still there by the time the modern movies in the monsterverse roll around, so why? That just feels weird. But also, like, the environment itself also feels completely different. It's a completely different color grade, different types of vegetation. I have to ask, was this originally planned to be part of the monsterverse? Because there have been rumors floating around of a Kong series that was supposed to be in the works for years. It was announced not long after Kong Skull Island was released, in fact. And it got stuck in development hell. Nothing ever came of it, and then all of a sudden Legendary announces that this is happening. And people have said that there's no connection, and I believe that about as much as I believe that the Banana Splits movie had nothing to do with the scrapped Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So, by the way, don't read too far into that. I know there is another one, but there was a scrapped one first, and then all of a sudden the Banana Splits came out of that. Anyway, I can't help but wonder if Legendary sort of got their hands on that, or at least found out the basic idea of it and thought, well, nothing's going on with that. We'll take it. I don't know. Something about it just doesn't quite feel like it fits. Just overall. Also, I figured out another issue with the dialogue. There's a lot of repetition. Like, people repeating things back to the person who just said something. For example, a discussion between Cap and whoever the woman is in charge of the military team. I don't remember her name, honestly. The conversation is, why did you kidnap that girl? I promise you I did not kidnap that girl. See, the problem is, people don't talk like that. The way this conversation would have played out more conversationally would have been, so why did you kidnap that girl? I didn't. I don't know what you're assuming, but I didn't. Or perhaps it could have been, why did you kidnap that girl? It's not kidnapping. It's way more complicated than you can possibly imagine. Or something like that. Something that would be a bit more intriguing other than just two characters repeating lines back to each other. And that happens a lot in this series. At least it has up to this point. Just another reason why I really don't like listening to these characters talk. I really hope that improves. Like I said, this episode did have some things about it that I like, but I'm still not quite feeling it yet. The thing is, normally when it comes to animation, and particularly with anime, there's this thing called the 3-episode test, where by the 3rd episode, you're probably gonna know if the show has won you over or if it's not worth continuing. And by this show's 3rd episode, I'm really not sure about it. I'm gonna continue because it's kind of my job to do so, but if I were just watching this casually, I'm not sure I'd be in any rush. I might have watched the 3rd episode and then just sort of said, I'll watch the 4th episode tomorrow. And then tomorrow becomes next day, next week, next month, and all of a sudden it's the end of the year and I'm like, hey, I should really continue that. That's how it would probably have gone normally. For now, though, I'm going to try to stay on top of it. We will see. It's not quite winning me over just yet. It'll have to do something really impressive in order to get me. And that is very weird to say, especially since up to this point I've really been on board with all of the monsterverse entries. Then again, this is different from the others, and just like I've said, different is not synonymous with either good or bad. It's all in the execution that determines that. Right now, the execution is somewhere in the middle and constantly wavering between good and bad, like it's a snake slithering in an S-curve. And at some point, the snake is going to encounter something that'll cause it to veer one way or the other. I'm hoping whatever that thing is causes it to veer towards good. But we will see. Those are my thoughts on the 3rd episode as of this point. And, well, on to episode 4. And feel free to share your thoughts on this episode down below. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. Thank you all for watching. If you want to see us keep doing what we're doing, you might consider doing all the usual YouTube things, as well as hopping down to the description to find links to DeviantArt, Patreon, Twitter, and links for the different books in the Tales from the Omni Vault universe. Your support is naturally appreciated. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.